Welcome to Reading the Green and our golf DFS show. My name is Mike. Kyle, Jordan, guys, thanks for hanging with me. Are you ready to start? I guess don't stop the party.
Start the party.
Party.
I'm happy to be here, but I feel very underdressed right now.
Yeah, I mean, you show up this late, you gotta look good, right?
Yeah, for those that are not watching the feed, Mike's got a sport coat on his.
It's not just a sport coat; it's a suit and no tie.
Do you have some company logos anywhere on there or no?
Nope.
Oh,
I just want you guys to know. This is Reading the Green. This is a very important golf podcast, golf and betting podcast. I turned down Pitbull for this.
Well, did you really turn it down? I think you were there for a little bit.
I think you turned it up for this.
Kyle,
how can you pass on Mr. 305?
I thought his name was Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, you are totally wrong.
Both names. They're both listed as other names on Wikipedia, guys.
Is 305? What zip code is that?
Miami. He's from Miami.
Zip code, area code. He's Miami. Okay, I got a Pitbull guy.
Here's a quote from Pitbull in 2019. Why he is Mr. 305 and Mr. Worldwide, which I don't know how you can be one in area code, but then also represent the whole world. But anyway, it's a melting pot, It's a melting pot. You get a chance to grow around so many different, I've grown up in good neighborhoods, bad neighborhoods, worse neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seemed to have about as much enthusiasm on stage as he did giving that quote. So I don't know. I think I said before, unless Kesha was out there with him, I don't know what the point. What's the point?
But the bigger news is, so Mike had a chance to hang out with Pitbull longer and came back to record the pod. We appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah, there's other reasons, but this
is
a
byproduct. It had nothing to do with the tiny humans that live in this house.
The tiny humans did play a factor. The babysitter that I had to relieve, all that played a factor. But you know what? The important thing is, we're here. We're going to talk about the Travelers Championship. We'll preview the Rocket Mortgage. And, since it's Tuesday, we also like to hear about Jordan's golf game.
Yeah. But so question for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
The text that I sent where I said I was in your backyard, how many seconds did it take you to realize I was joking?
I never thought you were joking.
You thought I was actually in your backyard.
Wouldn't surprise me. You don't read our text messages anyways.
Well,
so
you
when
guys
we
said
say
like
things
50 a day about Matt Fitzpatrick's left toe.
You? Oh, man. You're the one who said you are now related to Matt Fitzpatrick through in-law relationships. And then you didn't even respond to it when we asked for more info.
Didn't I gave you more info.
Not really.
I said my neighbor's brother is marrying Matt Fitzpatrick's girlfriend's brother.
Yeah, and you sent a picture of 3 guys, and I asked you which one was the husband.
Well, one was Matt Fitzpatrick, and the other one was a 5-year-old.
Well, the other guy looked like he was pretty old. I don't know. I guess that's cool. How is it going to benefit RTG?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll Jordan, on-air production meeting, so we can get a chance to talk about this. You're sporting the Swag King cap. We had a big release today, swag drop on 4th of July. You pulled in a big haul. Swag Golf Company is now sponsoring Monday Q Info podcast.
Oh.
So
I think I knew that because I think you sent a text about that. But
yeah, but like what can we get on that? I think we have some ins. Can we get on that?
Right, we need to try.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
you're assigned.
I'm in.
Can we go back to Matt Fitzpatrick? Like, can we at least get him to come to the 3M?
Can I tell you that the bridal shower that they were all at was in New Jersey, and I mapped it out from where they were in New Jersey to the golf tournament was in Connecticut, and it was a 2.5-hour drive. How do you think Matt Fitzpatrick got there? Did he rent a helicopter or did he drive?
Private jet.
No, he drove. It's Matt Fitzpatrick.
It was 2.5 hours. Like it'd be like a third 20-minute flight.
Yeah, he drove.
I don't know the answer. It was a hypothetical.
Yeah, I think so. He probably drove himself.
We need this hard-hitting information. Come on, Jordan.
I'll ask his future brother-in-law's whatever. I'll ask him.
All right.
If we get one ask, though, we request he comes and plays the 3M, and then of course just joins the pod.
I think Matt Fitzpatrick is known to be anti-adhesives, so I don't think he'll come.
I don't even
Kyle,
know what to do with that.
It's not a bad take. There are some guys on the tour. We'll get to this. I'm not trying to spoil anything, but there's some guys on the tour that are pretty far behind in the FedEx Cup standings, and they're adding events that they don't normally play. So I don't think it's out of the question. I don't think Fitzpatrick. I'm just taking a quick look here. He's not. It's not like he's getting close to the top 30. So maybe he's all right. Before we jump into the Travelers recap, do you guys want to share what you're drinking? Jordan, you said something. You had something hazy.
Yep. Classic. Senior Classico. Toppling Goliath. Pseudo. My main objective when I'm at liquor stores now is to buy beer that is less than 7%, which means you're really limited in the number of like good beers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you want a hazy, because they're all 8, 9, 10%, and like I can't drink 10% beers.
I disagree. That's always my initiative. Maybe I'd say 7.5, but you can find some. You definitely limit yourself from the junkyards and some of those, but there's options out there.
Yeah, there are a few. They're harder to find. Things like if Modest puts one out, it's a double or triple. If Barrel Theory puts one out, it's
a quadruple.
Yeah.
We'll save those for the in-person pod nights. Probably the Open next, maybe. But
we've got a lot of fancy beers to drink once we start doing it. We need to have a sleepover one night.
Yes. RTG sleepover.
Like that's the only
come to the 3 Open. We'll golf. We'll have a sleepover. Come on.
I still have all my Goose Island, Bourbon County beer. Like we've got so many crazy beers to drink.
I actually drank one this summer. To be honest, I had a brisket night with some former coworkers, and I opened up a bottle.
There you go. Good. Someone's drinking them.
This fall, we're drinking a lot of Goose Island. That's for sure. On my end tonight, I have Indeed Day Tripper. Have a lot of light beers in my fridge for reasons I'm not going to go all the way into in the pod, but so trying to clear some of those out.
I drank about 6 of those the other night. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna laugh. I mean, I think I've found the happy medium here. A beer under 7%, and a lighter beer that is kind of easygoing. This is Green Belt Blue.
How old is that?
Do you know what it's from?
He took it. It's from my fridge 2 years ago.
Yeah. The options were limited. I don't know what's going on. There was an 8-pack of High Noon. There was a Modest Melt, the THC seltzer, and there was this. So
I think that's like 3 pods in a row you've used this excuse. Like, do we need to donate you some beer, Mike?
No,
I'll have my nanny next time she comes over to your house. I'll have her bring some beers. You know, I've got really good beers that are in the back of my fridge. I'm gonna bring over this is great. I can clear out my fridge.
I love it. And then Mike's got to drink one every pod. I think we have a new segment.
Oh man. This beer,
Mike drinks from Jordan's fridge.
Jordan's fridge clean out.
Well, I mean, I'm the only person to ever drink a 10-year-old hop dish, so there's precedent. Should we talk some golf? We still do that on this show. The Travelers Championship. Yeah, Kyle, do you think Jordan? You missed our preview. I wish you would have been able to talk about your. You love the short hitters, but Kyle, do you think guys like Brian Harmon and Ches Reavie just have this date circled on their calendar because they know it's the only week that the entire field is neutralized and they get to show up? I mean, those guys, it doesn't matter what's going on. They seem to top 10 every year.
It should, especially if how much of a birdie fest it turned into. I think it was kind of an unfortunate week. It was a little rushed with some of the builds. I feel like kind of missed some things we should have been on top of last week. Little mea culpa.
Yes, I think we'll get to one of those ones. I want to ask Jordan a question. Jordan, which course played longer this weekend? Baltusrol, which was hosting the LPGA KPMG Championship, or TPC River Highlands hosting the Travelers Championship? Which played longer?
Baltusrol.
Wrong. Baltusrol played.
Stupid question, then, Mike. Come on.
It was only about 500 yards shorter.
Wow.
The Baltusrol, which I think probably for a women's major probably could have played longer than 65, 90 or whatever it was, but 7,000 yards is not very long for the Tour pros, even a par 70. Like that just, and they got torched as we would have expected.
Yeah. Did you see Michael? Do you follow Michael Kim on Twitter?
Yeah, we see him. He's on, RTG follows him.
But he gives his recap of all the tournaments. I'm trying to find it right now.
While you do that, can I just tangent for a second on the KPMG women's the KPMG championship? We tuned in a bit this weekend because I wanted my daughter to be able to see some of the women's professional golf. In addition to, we've watched a lot of men's lately, and things didn't. They were tight down the stretch, but so Runing Yin ends up winning. She birdies the last hole. She actually hit 37 consecutive greens in regulation to finish the tournament in a major like that. Just think of how insane that is. Like, she literally made no mistakes down the stretch. But she finished, I think she finished in the second to last group. So Stephanie Meadow was still on the course and actually made like a 20-footer on 17 for birdie, and then had to eagle 18. They finished back-to-back par fives. Have to eagle 18 in order to tie Runing Yin, and she hits her drive in the middle of the fairway. Old top 3-wood from the middle of the fairway that skips across a creek when she needed essentially up and down from like 240 to tie, but cold top from the fairway. You ever felt that kind of pressure, Jordan? Maybe when you 4-putted the member guest last year at your club?
Well, when my teammate got it halfway there on the first putt, it made it real hard when it's a 30-footer. But no, that pressure obviously is nuts. That she probably hasn't topped a shot in 5 years.
I mean, her response was, it happens.
I haven't topped one in 6 days.
When was the last time you golfed, Kyle?
Last Wednesday.
6 days. Exactly.
Well, Kyle, you said you thought there may be some things that we missed in the model. I think maybe the one that we didn't miss in the model that I missed in my plays was Ches Reavie. Ches was third player ranked in the model. Certainly he was the bottom of the power index, which is always a little tricky on those cheap guys when they start to chart out really high. But I went full fade on Ches Reavie and was really kicking myself.
Yeah, and I know we talked about that one. I didn't go full fade like you, but definitely we're off there. He's just been so hot with the putter. I'm always along the mind of like, hey, can this guy keep it going? He's going to cool off one of these weeks, but it was not the week to do that. Not the week to get off the Reavie train. I'm surprised Keegan Bradley didn't get more love. I saw plenty of betting cards that were on him, and unfortunately, since I locked everything in a little bit earlier last week, I missed him. We're going back to the Northeast. Come on, that's Keegan Central. He's shown the ability to pop with the putter this year. Twice now he's gained 7 strokes putting. He did so on the West Coast at Torrey Pines actually as well. But he, kind of won it going away. Leaked oil a little bit on Sunday, but I was kicking myself. I feel like that's something last year I would have been all over, and I wasn't.
So a couple of thoughts on Keegan. So I did play him in my horse for the course lineup that I put into RTG as my narrative lineup as I started to go to. That was the only spot I played him. He was our gutsiest play of the week, so he did get a sole mention from Jeff Ulrich in DK Nation meaning Jeff was the only guy on him. And I think you're right, Kyle. Like, if you would have looked into the story and you kind of heard Keegan talk about this after the win, like this is Riviera to Max Homa. This was the PGA tournament, and I think it was the Buick back in the day. Like, this was the tournament in his backyard that he grew up wanting to win more than anything. And he's been playing well this year, and certainly just kind of missed the fact that he's played well in this golf tournament and he's had some of the form. So I think you're right. Like, just it wasn't just us that missed it. Like, it sounded like a lot of the industry from a DFS perspective missed it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Model did get quite a bit right though. It was a chalky week overall, and that's what kind of makes it stink when you don't score super well, especially missing a couple of cash lineups, which usually the chalk weeks, if they hit, model hits and the cash lineups hit. But Tommy Fleetwood, Mark Hubbard, man. Just again, I believe that's 2 weeks in a row the model has killed it outside of my plays. So hint, guys, on where to go this week.
One more thought on Keegan. He did say, so he did leak oil down the stretch. He made a couple of bogeys. He hit a brutal drive on 18. He ended up making par, but like just an awful nervy drive on 18. And he said he was so nervous coming down the stretch. I mean, he had a 5-shot lead. He was so nervous coming down the stretch to win this golf tournament, and he thinks that contributed to just the sloppiness. So I think that's kind of cool. Happens to those guys.
Yeah. He got home, right?
He did.
Circling back to some of our top plays, though, overall, Mike, I don't know how you ended up, but Scotty, obviously, it's Scotty Scheffler. We don't need to talk about that, but it's fourth overall in points. We were big there. Russell Henley, who we've talked a lot about the last 2 weeks, had some up and downs, but close strong on Sunday, and I believe finished 13th in DraftKings points. We're at 7,800. I don't care if he's chalk. Heck yeah, put that in your lineup. So there was definitely some bright spots and guys we had a lot of.
Jordan, do you have anything to add to the Travelers Championship?
I really enjoyed your guys' texts about Keegan's child and how Keegan should be taken out to the barn and put to pasture for what he named his child. Because that name was already popular when the reverse of that name was popular when it was named, when the child was named.
It's funny because I texted, "Hey, did you guys know that Keegan Bradley has a son named Cooper?" And Kyle's response is, "Yeah, but so does
Archie Manning."
Archie Manning. And I'm like, "You're missing the point."
Which
I thought we were just naming famous kids named Cooper. I just was chiming in.
Kyle, I laughed at your response, and then I put 2 and 2 together and laughed at Mike's initial text. I did not get it at first, Mike. But yeah, Cooper Bradley. Like,
yep. I don't know. We don't all have great taste. We don't all have great golf games. Some of us have one of each. RTG Listener League. Kyle, I haven't seen this name in near the top, but Jimmy Crack takes down the top spot. He had a 6 of 6 lineup, but yours truly's Kyle and Mike finish second and third.
Thought we'd mess around and challenge for the top, but didn't quite get close enough. I didn't get enough guys through the cut, but I had a strong weekend for once, so I'll take it.
Yeah, good stuff. Jordan, you'll get back up there eventually. I know it's
my RTG is total trash. I will say, I think I've won or gotten second in my neighborhood league 3 or 4 weeks in a row.
Because you're eating fish, so.
Hey, I have sent them all the podcasts. They could listen to my terrible picks.
Yeah, Kyle's too.
Yeah, and yet
I have to give a shout out to Carson Young this past week, Mike. He's really the one that got me across the finish line. Also, we'll give Len over at RotoWire props for being on him, and Matt Vicengia at Fantasy Labs.
Len is a gold mine for 6K plays. I'll continue to go back there every single week. Jordan, do you have a one and done update?
I do. As soon as it loads on my internet.
It was interesting. There was a lot of spread on players, a lot of concentration on. Now I'm blanking where all the
Tommy Fleetwood
on Tommy Fleetwood,
who
missed the cut.
Yeah.
And then everything else was like one or two people per player. So that was should have created a little bit of movement. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a new leader again.
That's what I was going with my Tony Finau pick. And then Book picked the same thing, and then we both won $60,000, which is really good. But yeah, one Brian Hartman pick, 1.7 million for second place, which was nice. 2 Patrick Cantlays for 800,000, and then we're getting down into the 500 or below. But year to date, Derek Howard is in the lead.
Back to the lead.
The interesting thing is Derek Howard and Champles, who's in second, they're 340K apart, have the exact same score to par. Minus 139, and Jacob King has minus 131. But Champles has almost 1,000 more FedEx points. So he's done a lot better more consistently, and Derek has won bigger money events.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's, I'm now $7 million out of it because I may have gotten $1 million in my last 5 tournaments. It's been a struggle, and now I'm just gonna scroll down, try and find you guys. Kyle, I found you, Kyle. Oh wait.
I've started to try to get different. Missed 2 cuts in a row. I have to. I'm super far back. So we got 4 more big purses. We have 3 more big purses now. We have the Open and then the first 2 playoff events. So it's time to get silly, take some swings.
Yep. It's not over.
Let's hear what's Mike or maybe Kyle. What is Mike's score to par for the season?
I'm not. Let's go 12 under.
He's +7. Yeah, you're minus 81, and you guys are only $700,000 apart. And he has way more FedEx points than you do.
Well, so that shows he hasn't done very good at majors.
No, because I've been taking swings. We can debate this forever, Kyle. We're not taking home any money. Good for the folks that are gearing towards the top, but
but a special shout out to listener Greg Bentley, who is plus 103. He is, what is that, 242 strokes behind the leader.
He's trying too. That's the best part. All 21 of 22 events entered, so he's trying. Well, the good news is everybody gets another crack at the Rocket Mortgage Championship in Detroit, Michigan this week, and I think there's some guys you can go get a little funky with. So let's dig into the Rocket Mortgage. Should we get Detroit Golf Club? I actually mistitled it in the outline, Detroit Country Club. What's the difference between a golf club and a country club?
Country clubs have pools.
Okay. Kyle, thoughts?
Pools, tennis, something other than just golf. I shouldn't say. They weren't.
Sure. That sounds good to me.
Well, this is Detroit Golf Club in Detroit, Michigan. Last year, Tony Finau won. This started Tony's kind of epic run. He wins a couple more events throughout the rest of the year. We get a couple of kind of throwaway events.
You're not going to answer the question for us? What's the difference?
I don't know the answer. I was asking you guys.
Oh, well, I thought it was a trivia question. I wanted to beat Kyle. And I see Detroit Country Golf Club has a pool, so it's not just a pool.
I don't know the answer. I think it's whatever helps you market the thing you're trying to market. So we get a couple of not throwaway events. This guy, we talked about this. Like, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to go and get to play some of the guys that you're not super excited about playing in the big events, but now, guys like Ludwig Aberg have a legit chance to do something in this. And it's kind of fun to see them on a little different stage. So us golf junkies do like weeks like this, like the John Deere next week. And then we'll get back into major golf. So there's only one thing I know about this golf course, but Kyle, I'd love to hear. what it takes to be successful at Detroit Golf Club.
Well, I would say the prevailing narrative you're going to hear a lot is the Bombers, right? Bomb and gouge. Bryson first, it was kind of his onto the scene with that approach, I would say here. Cameron Davis is one, Finau won last year. But I don't think that's the only path to victory this week. So I don't think you necessarily have to be real long off the tee, because overall it's a short course. It's going to be a birdie fest. There's, the winning score is going to be 25, 20, 24, 25, 26. And it really is going to probably come down to who can get hot with the putter. So you obviously want the guys that can ball strike. If they're longer the better, sure. But that's not the only way you can score here. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind, and when you are taking in content this week, that if that's the only thing you're hearing, maybe have some questions.
All right. Yeah. I mean, you're obviously right. You hear the bomb and gouge narrative, and I think you're going to see that in some of the popular, cheaper plays, guys like Cam Davis, that have, he's not that cheap this week, but guys that have done well here, just hitting it kind of all over the place. What does the model say?
Yeah, and just one last note on that, Mike. It just looking at last year's leaderboard, obviously Finau won. Cameron Young came in second with Taylor Pendrith, so long hitters there. But you have Tong Pim, you have JJ Spawn, you have Matt Wallace, you have Charlie Hoffman, Russell Henley, Scott Stallings, all in the top 10. Not necessarily all guys you would call long hitters. So I think there is a couple ways to look at this week. The name at top of the model so far is Ricky Fowler at 10-4. He's at 50% mention share. MPI is a little soft so far, but we do have a couple of the bigger names coming in. Next, we have Sungjae at 38% mention share, pretty strong on the MPI. And then from a bunching of guys at 27, 28% mention share, Aaron Rai, Austin Eckroat, JJ Spawn, Mark Hubbard, and Tony Finau. So a couple salary savers, and then our defending champion, Mr. Finau, 10-9, 28% mention share, and 64 on the MPI.
So are you riding the Ricky Fowler heat wave, or are we done? We done with Ricky?
I do like Ricky here. When you look at almost any strokes gain metric data model over the last 24, 36 rounds, he's going to be the guy leading the way in this field. 10-4 saves you a little bit on those, somebody from like a Finau. So I think it's a decent place, especially on a cash lineup. Obviously, he's going to bring some ownership, but he's trending the right way. I don't think anyone would be surprised if he wins this event, and he is the betting favorite at this point in most places. So yeah, I'm going to click Ricky at 10-4 to start a lot of those cash lineups.
And let's be real, Kyle. We're riding Ricky until he asks us to stop.
I'm all aboard the Ricky train.
Oh, all aboard the Ricky train. Smiley Kaufman rides the caboose.
After that, I think it gets a little hazier. I do have some interest in JJ Spawn. Again, not the longest guy, but at 28% mention share, and he's only 7,500. He has some great course history here. So I'm intrigued by JJ Spawn, and then another guy we haven't talked about yet, but Carson Young at 7K even, 22% mention share, just playing some great golf. So I think I'll have to look at Carson Young. Last week we talked about Ulrich over at DK Nation, being on Keegan and at 7K, and he's on him again, or he's on Carson Young this week. The Lions is on him, and our buddy Len over at RotoWire. So that's a value savings for me.
I'll jump in on Carson Young. I think it's a joke that he's 7K this week. I think he should be probably touching mid sevens, just given his recent form. Yeah, he did miss the cut at the U.S. Open. He did miss the cut at the Wells Fargo, but T15 last week is a T21. at Colonial, a T21, a T14 at the Byron Nelson, a T15 at the Mexico Open. So he's been playing great golf. Outside of the U.S. Open, just kind of consistently gaining across the game. Just feels like a guy that you would have expected to see jump up. Given how well he played last week, you'd expect him to see jump up a little bit higher from his $6,500 price point last week. So I think I think 7,000 is still a good deal for Carson Young.
I can see some hesitation around him just because he did lose strokes off the tee last week, but he gained 4.6 tee to green, was 16th in the field overall. So he's just playing great golf.
Yep. Jordan, anyone you want to throw in?
So I'm a big Aaron Rai fan this week because the guy I played with tonight wore 2 black gloves.
No, he didn't. It was. Did he say it was the humidity?
No, he is just an old guy, and he hit every fairway 175 yards down. I think he ended up, he got 6 strokes on 9 holes, maybe 8 strokes on 9. I think he got 8 strokes on 9 holes, so he's like a 14-ish handicap. And old man golf. Hit every fairway. Next shot was right down the fairway. Chipped it up, putted in. He still shot like a 42 or 43, which was about what his handicap was. But so Aaron Rai all day.
Fun story. So the work event I referenced, I played in last Wednesday. There was a guy out there wearing 2 black gloves, and I used that joke as we walked up on the putting green. I'm like, how no one told me Aaron Rai was out here playing today?
Yeah,
you said that to him?
No, I said it to the guys I was playing with.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I don't know if anyone else got it. No one else. No.
But
I thought it was funny.
I did find the 2 gloves funny because he had a swing speed of like 75 miles per hour. Right, like it's not even like you're using it for grip. It's just a fashion statement at that point.
Just likes the way it feels.
Yeah. That's what everyone ever said, Mike.
Well, let me ask a question.
My other pick is Justin Thomas. The
All
MPI,
right.
MPI is loving him. He seemed to figure some stuff out last week. This field is ripe for Justin Thomas just to curb stomp everyone and win it.
The thing about Justin Thomas is he's got to be pretty highly motivated at this point. That's not everything you need to put together a good week, but he's sitting 66th in the FedEx Cup rankings right now. Like, this is a guy that's used to just being a lock for the Tour Championship, and he's kind of another bad week away and a missed cut at the British Open from getting to play the FedEx St. Jude and then taking a seat for a month.
Yeah, and I'm glad we brought up JT. I don't know if I have interest in a DFS perspective this week at that. What he's been doing. I don't know if it's necessarily a great fit just because the weakness in his game right now is a putter, and we're gonna need somebody to get super hot. If a little betting teaser later, but I might sprinkle there if the number continues to climb to where I hope it could climb, in case he does pop. But yeah, DFS,
he's 10K. He's got to be your first guy in pretty much. So if JT was sitting at like 94 this week, then maybe he could be a second guy in some lineups and it could be interesting, but not at 10K. I just don't think you can really have him be your anchor.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the FedEx Cup rankings because I did do a little bit of dive, and it's kind of wild right now on some of the rankings where we're this close to the end.
It shows you how important a win is, and a couple of other good finishes. And obviously, I pay fairly close attention to it because of how I prioritize a lot of my Rainmakers transactions, is trying to make sure that I keep a stockpile of guys that are at least going to play through the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, there's guys up there. Think of someone like a Nick Taylor who's sitting at 9th, and then he did have a big win. The Canadian Open went a long way, and he's had a couple of other good finishes. But I mean, he's a lock for the Tour Championship.
Yeah, that's actually one I wrote down as being crazy. Like Seamus Power, I don't like.
Yep.
In my mind, he hasn't been playing that well. He's 23rd.
No, It's all the fall. It's the fall season. Kurt Kitayama, same
we were
way.
all over him all fall. Seamus Power was everywhere, and now we haven't talked about him in months.
No, but he'll be at 23rd. You know, he's at least a lock through the BMW.
Yeah, you have Eric Cole at 39. Thomas Dietrich, I don't feel like he's been playing. I know we talk about him a lot because he's kind of a DFS darling, 45th, Sepp Straka 49th. But then you have JT at 66. You have Decky at 52nd. Currently, you know, looking outside of the BMW Championship. Outside of the 70, you have Billy Horschel, Adam Scott, Shane Lowry.
On the Rainmaker side, I sold one Adam Scott for a decent price. I'm probably going to sell the other one. I'm thinking around the British Open. I'm going to hope that he kind of holds value to the British Open, but he has almost no use to me sitting at 75th. Like, I'm not going to get much runway out of him. So it feels like a good time to let him go. Can I just throw in one more guy on the Rocket Mortgage?
Yeah.
Are we playing Ludwig at 8,700? It feels too expensive for Ludwig, but this is a really good course fit for a guy that absolutely crushes the ball and is actually pretty accurate. So this isn't even like Cam Davis, but like actually pretty accurate, gains a ton of strokes off the tee, hasn't missed a cut as a professional. He's played in 5 professional events, logging 3 top 25s on the PGA Tour, a bunch of NCAA wins, which don't mean anything when it comes to PGA Tour golf, but three top 25s on the PGA Tour this year. So, I don't know. Doesn't feel like 87 is that crazy for a guy with a good course fit and decent form.
I have interest. You know, I think he's going to get a lot of clicks because people like to talk about him a lot, but I don't really care in the places I'd be playing him. Like you said, I think it's just such a great course fit. Yes, he's young, but we've seen guys win in their 5th start before. Matt Wolff did it here in Minneapolis, 3M Open. So I really wish I would have got in on the betting market with him, and you could got him at 65 when lines first opened on Monday, but we talked about that before. We can't get him right away. Now he's down all the way to 40. So people are on him this week, but it's a great course fit. He's got talent, so I'll be there too.
Maybe a cash play if he's gonna. But I know, Kyle, I know we don't care about ownership, but you know, it's funny, Kyle. We texted at length about ownership, but here you are, maybe concerned about Ludwig because he's getting a lot of clicks.
No, I'm not concerned. I said I'm going to be there. Like on the how I play, I will be there.
Jordan, the next time
huge tournaments.
The next time you're not here, we're gonna do a real ownership talk. I know we would lose you. You'd fall asleep, but yeah.
Sorry, what?
All right, let's move on. Tiers, Kyle, because I really want to get to the name game. There's something brewing here on the name game that I can't wait for. So what do you got for tiers quickly?
We're going to talk about tier 5. Jordan already brought up his boy, Aaron Rai. He is leading the way at both share percentage and MPI. So I'm very intrigued there, and that's where I would go so far. But there's also some other names in that group I'll keep my eye on as the day goes on tomorrow. Bezuidenhout, we talked about him a lot last year. He can get super hot with the putter, and some other parts of his game are turning around. So I'm intrigued there. Taylor Moore hasn't been near as good lately, but you know, he does pop in some of the models we've been looking at this week. So do think he's possibly in play. I think Nikolai Hojgaard will get a lot of clicks, but that's definitely one place I'm staying away. Hey, Mike butchered one earlier, and you didn't make fun of him, so
because it's only funny when you do it.
It's always funnier, yes.
And it's always the same names. Anyway, yeah.
You guys had me looking through the FedEx Cup standings, so I'm going to come back to that for a second. A name that we've talked about a lot, has gotten a lot of love in the model kind of all year, and is total garbage. Gary Woodland is 92nd. Like, he hasn't performed at all. Maybe he's made a lot of cuts, so we keep talking about him and he keeps getting recommended.
I feel like Gary Woodland has very specific courses where he has great history on. So he's either a guy that is nowhere to be seen or, you know, pops up. But he's also a guy that at least the betting community seems to have an infatuation with. There's 10 guys every week that I feel like it mentioned.
Yeah, we've talked about him way more than his 92nd and 400 points. He's made $2 million, which isn't bad, but like it just feels. And now I'm looking at his cuts. He's only missed 3
5, I
cuts.
think.
3
He's playing
cents.
pretty steady. It's just
3 cents the start of the new year.
You just need those, those high end finishes, and he hasn't had anything higher than T9.
He has two T9s in the last year. Huh.
All right. Well, name game last week. Jordan, you weren't here. We went with the Travelers. Kind of had like the debutantes, the amateurs, the new professionals. We paired them up with a stud, Ludwig and Xander. Ran away with it for you, 191.5 points total. I finished with 58.5 because I had Sam Bennett and John Rahm both missed the cut. So the lead now is back to 2 points for Jordan, 12 on the season. I have 10. Kyle and the listeners both have 8. So now Kyle's got some work to do. And we switched the rules around while you were gone, so that the winner.
That was 2 weeks ago. We did that.
Yeah, which I think makes sense, right? You're on board.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me hear. What do you got? I'm happy to take the first cut.
Yes. Well, so when are we done with this season? Is it the Tour Championship?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I only need to keep my lead for another month and a half. Okay, cool. I can do that. And do we ever decide what the winner was going to get? Because I'm spending that money already, guys.
Let's homework for next week.
Okay. So this week, with an assist from Sir Kyle, we decided, it's Detroit Golf Club, Detroit sports teams. We tried to find names that aligned with the 4 major sports teams that are in Detroit. Some of them you will have never heard of, and most
of them are pretty dang good.
Some of them are really good. So, team 1 is Max Scherzer Homa and Dylan Larkin Woo, who Dylan Larkin is a Red Wings player. For those
I know that because Kyle and I play DFS hockey.
We play a lot of Dylan Larkin. He was a great value play this year. I mean, he's a stud, but cheaper than the other studs.
Yeah. I guess we know who this week's loser is going to pick. Dylan Larkin. Next we have Justin Verlander Homa. What, Kyle? You
Justin Thomas got it. Okay.
You copied that one and pasted it.
Yeah.
And I just read it out because I haven't.
He'll read anything you put on the teleprompter.
Justin Verlander / Justin Thomas.
Justin Verlander Thomas. And then Brendan Shanahan Todd. Team 3 is Tony Clark Finau. Tony Clark,
Detroit Tiger, shortstop.
Detroit Tiger.
No idea.
And then Herman Taylor Moore. What was he? Was he old football player?
Wide receiver for the
wide receiver. Yes.
Lions. Yeah.
Okay. And then the best set of team names here is Rick Mahorn Fowler and Ndamukong Justin Sue.
That one is really good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
But he says Ndamukong Suh, and I think it's Justin Suh. Interesting. I never thought about that. Yeah, anyways. All right. Good stuff. That one was really creative.
I would love to take credit for that. So you guys can just applaud me later.
Okay. All right. We'll do it in post-production.
Good work, Kyle. That was all Kyle.
So I get to pick first, huh? Oh boy. Gotta make up some ground. I think the answer for me this week is Tony Finau and Taylor Moore.
Wow.
All right.
Thanks for giving Kyle and I the win.
Who's next?
I think you guys are gonna struggle with your second guys. Who is next? Sorry, I had it. Next would be the listeners.
Ooh. Do we give them the favorite in Fowler according to the model? or the number one in the world golf, like who's higher in world golf rankings?
I think we give them. So wait, you took Finau more.
Finau.
Yep.
Let's give I don't know. Do we give them the best names? Do we give them Ndamukong?
Let's do it. Give it to him.
All right, it's done. Moving on. Kyle.
Give
JT
me
Homa.
Max Scherzer, Homa, and Dylan Larkin. Woo!
How do you feel about your squad, Jordan?
You would pick the Homo Woo team. Thomas Todd. I'm very happy. Very happy. Yeah. I told you Justin Thomas was one of my picks. I think he's gonna win it. So you guys are just gonna have to help me make up a game next week too.
I like Dylan Woo there. Max Homa, I'm just hoping he can find something.
Yeah, like a fairway or a score under par maybe.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're all just trying to find something in our golf games. Kyle, are you gonna bet on the Rocket Mortgage? It sounded like you were, but I wasn't sure.
I am. Believe it or not, Mike, I am. The card's not full yet. A little different for this time, but the markets really have been moving a lot this week. We talked about that. Like Ludwig went all the way from 65 to 40. Some guys have dive bombed. So I'm just kind of waiting for things to shuffle out. So far, I do have Alex Smalley at 55 to 1. I've been playing well. Like him here, I, as always, back him up with the top 20 first-round leader. And then some bombs I do have in is Callum Tarrant, 110, and Vincent Norman, 130. Just have to get a couple bombers out in case they get hot with the putter. From there, those are the only three in. So I'm kind of watching the board from there. I'm going to take someone up top. If JT gives above 20, I'm going to fire. Right now, I think I can get him at 18. Is about the best I can do. And then, I don't know. I'll have to stand by to our Twitter because I'll probably one more sprinkle. Maybe Dylan Woo. We'll see. It's just I missed some of those really good early numbers, and I'm not going to take Ludwig at 35.
I get it. Well, best of luck to you, Kyle. I know that you've been searching for an outright again recently, and I hope it's coming soon. All right.
I appreciate you keeping me in your thoughts at this tough time.
Yeah, I know it's been hard. Jordan, any final thoughts from your end? Are you still thinking about Pitbull or what?
No, I have an interesting tidbit I learned about a coworker that was joining a country club in Houston or Dallas. I think it was Houston. And they had switched. They had been basically male only, right? Golfing rather than super restrictive for females forever, which became uncouth. Obviously in the 90s and 2000s and 2010s, if you can't just not keep women out. So they implemented you had a maximum handicap because they assumed, right, most women aren't good golfers. So but if they were a good golfer, they would happily let them in. But you had to be a 15 or better to even be considered to join the club.
If you're a woman.
No, at all.
Oh,
even
anyone.
Men.
Okay.
Even men. But right, like
that's how they kept women out. Gotcha.
That they had to change their bylaws to not restrict women, and they instead implemented it. And I just thought it was a very interesting.
So that's still the rule there.
Yeah, this was 10 years ago that he was trying to join, but I would guess
interesting,
that it's still the rule because they only want good golfers to be playing.
Wow.
And he said one of the things they talked about was, well, good golfers play faster than bad golfers, which I would actually say is generally the opposite.
I know a lot of real slow good golfers that I don't ever want to play with.
They think about it.
I play very fast.
Yes.
I know what I am, and I know what I need to do.
That something about our conversation triggered that, and I wanted to share it because I thought it was just an interesting, like, this was a very, very nice country club in Texas.
Yeah, I imagine if you had to go out and do like a playing test as a part of your golf club application, it's a lot riding on that, 40 years of membership potentially on just on your golf swing, which right now they might not let me in at the par 3. So
yeah. The interesting, he said you had to maintain better than 15 also.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't get in and then become a 30 in 2 years.
Well,
Get rid of the sandbaggers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, good stuff, guys. I'm glad that we got this in. I know that we're earlier than normal last week. We're later than normal this week. I'm wearing funny clothes, but all in all, good stuff, good vibe. For our audience, you can find our content on Twitter throughout the week. We'll be checking into the Rocket Mortgage Classic over the next handful of days. Our podcasts are available on our YouTube channel, Reading the Green, and on any major podcast platform. We'll be back in a week with the results of the Rocket Mortgage, and we'll preview the John Deere Classic. See ya.